Emergency recall, part 1 of 3, the surprise party recall.
All right, guys. So next we're going to talk about our emergency recall. Now, the emergency recall is probably one of the biggest favorites of our students. And the reason why is it's a really super strong way to get the dog back to us in situations where they've maybe run out the front door or they slipped their leash somewhere. We've had clients use it like they got out of the car at Petco. The dog, they thought it was leashed up, but it wasn't, and is now running towards Sheridan, things along those lines. So I want to ask you guys a question about this before we move into it. I want you guys to write down a number on your paper in front of you. If you guys have 10 treats left in your bait bag and you want to make the most bang for your buck out of this activity as you can with those 10 treats, how many times would you practice this sequence? Write down your number.
Most people get this wrong, but if you guessed 1, you're thinking like a trainer.
You guys would do this one time and then reward your dog with all 10 treats. The reason for that is that this emergency recall behavior is a really expensive behavior for dogs to perform. Oftentimes when we are asking for this behavior, they're doing something that they would really love to continue doing, but it's actually dangerous for them. They may be chasing a small prey animal, they may have taken off after a coyote that they're trying to befriend, or they could be running into traffic. And so we need to make sure that we pay the heck out of this one so that when we need it, it's intact and it's ready to go. This is not a time to be stingy. The treats that you guys will use with this one are actually going to be even higher value than the treats that you guys have been using for your training so far. For example, sometimes I will pick up canned sardines. They're 99 cents in water at King Soopers. I'll use those. They're absolutely disgusting. Definitely make sure you wear gloves when you guys are using them, but they really are like a super reward for dogs. I'll save cheese for this one. I'll save lunch meat. If I've had barbecue, I'll save the leftovers for that. Sometimes I'll look for rotisserie chickens at the end of the day so that I can use those for training. I might even use stuff like I might look for roast at the discount bin and then cook them up in the crock pot and freeze little baggies of them. So, you don't skimp on this one. Remember that you will be competing with stuff that is very enticing to your dog, and you need to make sure that you are more enticing to them than that squirrel out there. So I've got my cheese here. Val's going to be my holder. Now I want you guys to notice my recall sound and then how long I'm just praising profusely. It's to the point where my voice usually hurts when I'm done. So as long as she's mildly distracted, oops, I'll wait till she's distracted again. Come here, what a good girl. Oh, you're so smart. What a good girl. You are brilliant. One at a time, lots of praise. Do you guys see this genius over here? She is so smart. So smart. Oh my goodness. So again, really generous. I would actually normally go more generous than that, but she's eaten a ton of treats already. So I went really tiny in just a few.
Okay, so let's talk about the daily schedule. The first day, you're going to do this from 6 feet away from the dog, just when the dog is in the same room, not distracted at all. You'll do that 3 times total. Day 2, you're going to do room to adjacent room 3 times total. Next day, you're going to do across the house 3 times total. Then you're going to go from inside the house to outside of the house 3 times total. Then you're going to go from outside of the house to inside of the house 3 times total. Now, some really important points. You absolutely have to blow your dog's mind with your generosity. You'll see old Santa Claus over there with the big, huge chicken drum. That's to signify how generous you should be. We want you guys to happy talk for as long as it takes for your dog to get back to you, even if it's minutes. The first time that I did this with one of my dog, it took me like 7 minutes to get him back, and it was painful and awful. But the next time that we did it, he was back in 20 seconds, and then it was seamless. So don't give up on it. Your dog should get this right 100% of the time because you're never going to give up. Next one that I want to say is that you're going to cue your dog only one time, and then you're going to happy talk for as long as it takes until they're done with treats. And then the last thing that I want to say is that you really do want to wait about 2.5 hours between repetitions. But if you don't have 2.5 hours, just space it out as much as you possibly can between reps. What is not ideal is to do 3 reps in a row within just a couple minutes time frame.
So the sequence for this is that I'm going to say my verbal cue one time. As far as your verbal cues, you can use any number of things. Mine is actually a tongue roll, but some people will use caw-caw, some people will use pup-pup-pup, some people will use emergency, code red. We have heard andale, pronto. Really, it's up to you guys. Again, it just has to be something that the dog has never heard before. So I think you could literally even say like cotton swabs. It doesn't matter. What really matters is that you pay it really well. So your 2 rules are, again, the dog has to have never heard this behavior before, or sorry, never heard this cue before, and you have to be willing to yell it in public.
So the first example that you guys saw earlier, that dog came over right away. That doesn't always happen. So here's an example of a very normal dog. I want to stress that your dog is not abnormal if they don't come to you right away. This dog just doesn't come to me right away, and I want you guys to know how long I stick with it.
Wait till he's mildly distracted, and then I'm going to give it a go. Annoyingly praising, but the dogs really love it. And you'll also notice that when I called the first time, the dog didn't come right away. I did not give up. You never give up in this one. You keep happy talking until the dog gets there. That was actually a really good demo. We don't always see that, so thank you.
All right, this is going to take you about a week to get through all of these layers, but your steps are in your week 2 packets. Go ahead and get started on the first layer, and remember about 2.5 hours between each repetition on each layer. Happy training!